The night was colder than usual as Maya trudged through the dense woods, clutching her jacket tighter around her frail frame. The air smelled of pine and soil, and something else, something strange. She had lived in the small rural town at the edge of the forest all her life, raising her son alone. After her husband had disappeared during a logging accident years ago, Maya had always been resourceful, picking up small jobs at the diner cleaning houses and sometimes foraging in the woods for herbs and wild mushrooms to sell at the local market. This night was no different except for the silence. It was too quiet, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. She paused near the edge of a small clearing. The ground looked disturbed, as though someone had been digging. She leaned in closer, squinting through the moonlight, and saw what looked like a hand poking out from the loose earth. Her heart stopped. Without thinking, Maya dropped to her knees and began clawing at the dirt with her bare hands. Her nails broke and her fingers bled, but she kept digging until she uncovered a face pale and smeared with earth eyes, shut lips slightly parted. She gasped and shook him gently. "Please wake up," she whispered. "Please don't be dead." A cough answered her plea. Faint but alive, the man sputtered and opened his eyes, confusion and terror dancing in them. Maya kept digging, pulling him out of the shallow grave inch by inch, until finally he lay sprawled on the ground, gasping for air, his body bruised and his suit torn. "Who did this to you?" she asked, her voice trembling. He tried to speak, but only a whisper escaped his lips. He leaned closer, and she barely caught the words. They made no sense at first, but the way he said them made her blood freeze. "Trust no one, not even yourself." She stared at him, bewildered. What did he mean before she could ask again? He passed out. She checked his pulse, still faint but steady, without wasting time. Maya dragged him onto an old sled she used to haul firewood and started the long trek back to her cottage. It took nearly 2 hours through the thick woods, but she made it collapsing by her front door, soaked in sweat and mud. She brought the man inside, laying him on her son's bed while she tended to his wounds. Her hands moved automatically, guided by instinct, and the years she had spent caring for others. Her son Liam, just 8 years old, watched silently from the doorway. "Mama, who is he?" he asked. "I don't know, baby," she said honestly, "but he needs our help." Over the next few days, the man slowly recovered. Maya learned that his name was Daniel, and though he said little, his eyes said more. They were filled with a haunted look, a weight that never left them. He thanked her often, but never smiled. One night while Liam slept, Daniel sat at the small kitchen table sipping the herbal tea Maya had made for him. He looked at her with an intensity that made her uneasy. "I wasn't supposed to survive," he said quietly. "What do you mean?" "I was buried alive by people I thought I could trust. They wanted me gone for good. Why? Because I found something. Something worth dying for and something worth killing for." Maya stared at him, unsure whether to believe him, but something in her gut told her he was telling the truth. "I used to be a businessman." Daniel continued, "A very rich one. Too rich, I guess, and I made enemies, but I also discovered a secret. A hidden fund meant to control people, to manipulate entire regions. It was supposed to be untouchable, but I traced it, exposed it, and then I vanished." "So what are you going to do now?" she asked. He looked around the humble kitchen, the cracked window, the worn floor, the small fire flickering in the hearth, and finally his gaze settled on her. "I'm going to make things right," he said. The next day, Daniel insisted on walking into town with Maya, disguised in a borrowed coat and hat. He stayed close, watching everything, his eyes scanning faces as though searching for something or someone. Maya noticed how people seemed to react subtly to him. Some stared a moment too long, others turned away quickly. That evening, as they walked back through the woods, Daniel spoke again. "You saved my life, Maya, and I don't know how to repay that." "You don't have to," she said softly. "But I will," he replied firmly. Over the next few weeks, Daniel stayed with Maya and Liam, helping around the house, teaching Liam math and reading, fixing the broken shed and chopping wood for winter. Slowly, he began to smile again, laugh even, and Maya started to feel something she hadn't felt in years, hope. But then, one morning, he disappeared. Maya searched everywhere, the woods, the market, the diner, even the old quarry, but there was no sign of him. Weeks passed, and the ache of loss settled in again, until one cold morning a black car pulled up outside her cottage, and a man in a crisp suit stepped out. "Are you Maya?" he asked. "Yes." He handed her a sealed envelope, and without another word turned and left. She opened it slowly, her hands trembling. Inside was a letter and a key. The letter was written, in Daniel's careful handwriting, Maya. "I never wanted to leave without saying goodbye, but it was the only way to keep you and Liam safe. You gave me life when I had none, and for that I owe you everything. The key is to a deposit box in the city inside. You will find documents and resources that will change your life. Use them to give Liam the future he deserves. Never forget what I whispered in the woods. It wasn't just a warning. It was the truth. With all my heart." Daniel Maya stared at the letter, tears streaming down her face. She looked at Liam playing quietly with his wooden toys in the corner and felt a swell of love and fear and gratitude. 2 days later, she traveled to the city, opened the deposit box, and found more than just money. She found deeds, stocks, maps, journals, everything Daniel had uncovered, carefully organized, and now in her hands. She didn't know what to do with all of it at first. But slowly, over time, she learned. She started a foundation in Daniel's name, one focused on exposing corruption and protecting whistleblowers. She moved into a better home, sent Liam to a good school, and never stopped looking over her shoulder, just in case years passed, and Liam grew strong and kind. Maya never remarried, but she smiled more often, and sometimes when the wind rustled through the trees just right, she could almost hear Daniel's voice. "Trust no one, not even yourself." Not as a threat, but as a reminder to stay vigilant, to stay true. Because sometimes the people we fear the most wear the kindest faces, and sometimes the ones we save us right back in ways we never expect. And though Daniel never returned, Maya knew he was out there somewhere, watching, waiting, and living the life she had helped him reclaim. And in that quiet understanding, their souls stayed connected forever, intertwined by that night in the woods where a single mother had saved a buried millionaire, and where a whisper changed both their destinies.